Hello and welcome back to Elliot Talks Cars. Today we're going to be looking at cars that make you look rich for under £10,000. So, without any further ado, let's get into it, shall we? The Audi Q7. The Q7 is a good-looking family SUV with great road presence and a high driving position. This means you can look down at other people in their Vauxhall Corsas and Ford Fiestas and laugh, knowing that you've made a little bit more money than them. There were a few engines to choose from. You could have a turbo diesel V6 that chucked out around 240 brake horsepower, or a 4.2 litre TD V8, or a 4.2 litre V8 petrol. And there was a slightly weird 6 litre V12 TDI. Audi only sold 22 of these V12s in the UK. My recommendation would be the 4.2 litre TD V8, just because you get diesel economy and V8 power. Plenty of Q7s were sold with 7 seats, DVD players, cruise control and heated rear seats. There's plenty of room in the back for a 6-foot male. Because of the sheer road presence and what the Audi badge carries, this had to go on the list. You can get all the engines that I've mentioned for under 10k on Auto Trader, apart from the V12 obviously. Prices for the V12 are sitting at around 20 grand right now. A bit too much for an old Q7 if you ask me. Prices for all the other engines that I've mentioned are sitting well under 10 grand now, but you can get a nice sorted V6 diesel for about £8,000. And now we move on to the Maserati Quattroporte. Quattroporte has one of the best sounding engines ever made, the 4.2 litre naturally aspirated V8. What makes the Quattroporte so special today is that we're in a different world of car manufacturing. We're in a world where a Mercedes C63 AMG doesn't have a V8, which is sad, but we can buy older cars with better sounding engines like the Quattroporte for not that much money at all. In fact, there are a few of these cars on Auto Trader for only £6,000. This is good because you can take the £4 that you saved and spend it on a week's worth of petrol. Now, this car is Italian. A byword for a light. No, I'm just kidding, it's going to break. Doesn't matter though. It's under 10 grand, it's got a big V8 and makes a nice noise. Along with the well-aged styling, this car will make you look 10 times richer than you actually are. The Land Rover Discovery 4. Stick a private plate on one of these and you look $1 million. This go-anywhere 7-seat continent cruising 4x4 definitely deserves a place on this list. I've been around Disco 4s for nearly 10 years now. My dad had 2. I can personally vouch for them being very unreliable, because the first one went to scrap due to a horrendous engine problem, and the second one had an engine failure 3 hours into a 13-hour journey. 5 years or so later after that breakdown, the car hasn't actually had a single problem. If you service this car often, it'll be as sweet as a nut. The TD V6 and the SD V6 were the only ones sold in the UK. However, in America there was a 5 litre supercharged V8 and a 3 litre supercharged V6. If you can find one under 10k, then get the SD V6. It's got a bit more power than the TD V6 and slightly better fuel economy. There were a few specs to choose from. Within our 10k budget, you're not limited to the bread and butter spec. You can get an HSE or an all-singing, all-dancing Landmark edition. Just don't get the GS, it's a bit too basic. Get some nice wheels, and as I said at the beginning, a private plate, and you'll look a bit richer than you are. The Audi S8. Now this may not make you look any richer than your mate's girlfriend with a 2 litre A6, but anyone who knows what they're talking about will think, yes, when they see you in your S8. That's because this car has a 5.2 litre V10 out of the Lamborghini Gallardo and the Audi R8. With 444 brake horsepower, it can propel this luxury barge up to 60 miles an hour in 5 seconds. This was also the sort of time when Audi was experimenting with different engines in different cars. There was the V10 in the S6 and the S8. There was the V12 turbo diesel in the Q7, and a couple of R8s were made with the same V12 but never sold. And obviously there was their 4.2 naturally aspirated V8, one of the best sounding engines ever. This was the peak of Audi in my opinion. But the Audi badge does still come with a whiff of concrete salesman doing 95 miles an hour on the M4 flashing his lights at you to get out of his way. Nevertheless, this is still a brilliant car. Expect to find a well-spec'd model from 2006 with around 100,000 miles on it on Auto Trader for around £7,000. And also, because it's an Audi saloon, it will make you look like you do important business. Range Rover Sport. Also known as the Cheshire-mobile, the Range Rover Sport has always had mixed opinions. This is because unless you went for the 4.2 litre supercharged V8, it wasn't really sporty at all. The 2.7 litre TDV6 only produced a woeful 187 brake horsepower. The 3.6 litre TDV8 was a bit more powerful at 272 brake horsepower. The design of the Range Rover Sport hasn't really aged that well, and the interior was a Discovery 3 with a couple of shiny bits. It does still waft down the road like a full fat Range Rover. The fact that it has the Range Rover badge means it automatically goes on this list. And I've already mentioned the proper Range Rover in my previous video. There isn't really that much to say about it because it has the same engines as the proper Range Rover. It's built on the Discovery 3 chassis and drives the exact same as any other Jaguar Land Rover product of the time. Be aware though that a lot of these cars were owned by drug dealers, so check the glove compartment and the center console for anything you can sell. Throw away. And that's about it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.